All right, so we're live. Welcome to another Run Wild with Us, Ask Us Anything. I am Lisa Kastner. I am the founder and executive editor of Running Wild and Rise Presses, and I am here with you on Thursdays between 5 and 6 p.m. Pacific Time, 8 and 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Typically, I'm here with a few of our editors, and we are here to answer whatever you freaking want to toss at us. It is all good. So I anticipate, or I hope at least, I should be joined by one of our amazing editors, Ben White, within the next few minutes. And hopefully, we'll also be joined by one of our other amazing editors. So, but in the meantime, you got me. So, here's the dealio. How we work is you come up with a question and you just go ahead and you pop that question into the chat. And what I will do, of whatever venue you are watching this, because we actually post this across Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and then we repost it, believe it or not, on TikTok. So, whatever venue you're watching this, go ahead, pop it into the comment section. I will then repeat the question, and I will give all of our fabulous editors an opportunity to respond. And then I'll throw in my $1.25. Sometimes it turns into $2, but hey, that's okay. So with that, also know that if you are watching this and it is not between 5 and 6 p.m. Pacific time or 8 and 9 p.m. Eastern time, it's all good. All you have to do is, again, pop your question into the comment section, because we actually regularly check our chats to see if we've gotten new questions that we can then respond to in a subsequent week. So, all of that said, I hope you guys are having a fabulous Thursday. So normally I'm actually, excuse me, just wanted some water. Normally I am calling in or live streaming in from Los Angeles, California. Right now, I am actually in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, across the river from where I grew up. And I'm in actually a kind of a cool 70s inspired hotel room, which is pretty neat. And so you may notice that like the background's a little different, and like maybe I look a little different or whatever. It's because the lighting's different. And again, I'm in a hotel room and all of that loveliness. So just don't be surprised. Now, why I am in Philadelphia right now is I was actually asked to be the alumni keynote speaker for Drexel University's College of Arts and Sciences. I actually obtained my undergraduate degree from Drexel. So I've requested that it's actually recorded, because the speech that I'm providing, I hope at least, will be inspirational, and that not only the students but anybody who's watching the recording will gain value from it. So as soon as I have that recording, I will be sure to share it with you and across all the platforms that I'm on, because I really do hope that it's something that adds a lot of value to everyone. So Cindy says, good evening. You're about 2 hours for me tonight. No way. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. I love that. Have a great time in Philly. Thank you, Cindy. I will do my best. I'm here through Saturday afternoon, and then I fly back to Los Angeles, and then I believe it's in 2 weeks. I will be at the American Library Association's conference in San Diego. At least once a month, I'm going somewhere to do something. So hopefully, you'll get to hear some more fabulousness from there. And look, see, it's like I predicted. Suddenly, here's Ben.
Where else would I be on a Thursday night?
I don't know, but you actually have sunlight.
Yes. and 97 degrees
And oh my gosh.
at
Oh, F that.
6:04.
Oh my goodness. So you haven't quite hit the like 7, 8 o'clock where it starts cooling off yet.
Not yet. We started off this morning 10 degrees warmer than we did yesterday.
Oh my goodness.
And I saw 102 this afternoon, but
And in like dry environment, like no humidity. Wow. Youch. So that's more like 120,
yes.
man. That's not 102.
Yeah.
That's some
When I
crazy.
first got in the car, to come home, it was 130 in the car.
So
I like it.
I mean, I like it too, but it's funny, like literally when I took my shower before I, flew out here to Philly, I don't normally use lotion. All right, this is called totally TMI, but whatever. But like the scrub I use has a lot of lotion in it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So for whatever reason I was like, you know what? I'm gonna put some lotion on. It was so dry in preparation for the heat that was about to come on. My skin soaked it up like I had never seen lotion before. Like there is such a distinct difference between like a humid hot
Yeah.
and a dry hot
Yes.
that if you haven't experienced it, like I don't know that you can explain it properly, if that makes sense. But
Everything gets soaked up and soaked in pretty quick.
oh yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. Well, I'm just glad you survived it, you and your family.
Yeah. I've been waiting for this. It's nice. This is much better than being cold.
Well, now, did the pool at your local gym finally get fixed or nah?
Yeah, I swam today, as a matter of fact.
All right.
Yes.
Very nice.
I got 3/4 of a mile in today.
Wow. All right. That's impressive.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's why I shared it.
Well, I found out the pool at my hotel actually is heated. And so now I'm kind of like, well, I didn't bring a bathing suit, but maybe like tomorrow when I'm done all my work stuff and all my speaky speak stuff and all that, like I'll go and like dip my tootsies in the pool, So, because it's outdoors, believe it or not.
Yeah.
It's on the 8th floor, and they have it where it's like I can't. Well, whatever. Anyway, they but so it's got the heat from the sun, but it's also a heated pool. So that just sounds like it might be kind of a nice chill,
Oh yeah.
Caroline, Margaret, Cindy, all our favorite people who absolutely belong here, as does everybody actually who wants to put up with our shit. They all say hi and are checking in. They want to know. This is not Lisa. Well, it is Lisa too. So, how's Ben doing? What have you been up to, man? Huh?
I've been editing. I'm about halfway through and shaking.
That is not the only thing you've been doing with your life. Don't even play like you.
Well, this week I've had tomorrow we'll make 3 4-hour presentations in 3 days.
Wow.
Yeah, and kind of presentation / training. Not necessarily teaching; it's more training.
I was going to ask that. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's not my classes. This is special.
As it should be.
Yeah, and one more day of 4 hours of delivering training. Tomorrow's customer service training. Well, today was too.
Oh, okay.
So
what exactly is
customer service?
I was going to ask you that. What is that? What is customer service training? Does that just mean you're really good at customer service, or?
Yeah, because it's one of those terms that everybody thinks they know what it is, but nobody practices it. But everybody complains about it.
That's awesome.
So everyone complains about it. Customer service is terrible, but there's nobody championing it to make it stick.
Got it. Okay. Well,
But it is very important because it will be the number one cause that people don't come back.
actually,
So,
yeah. Hmm.
yeah.
That is true.
But the one who chased him off, the customer service rep that chased him off, well, okay, there'll be somebody else. I don't care.
We'll pretend it wasn't me. It's all good.
Yeah. I don't know what's wrong with them.
Oh
I
my,
spilled
oh
soup in their
my.
lap, but I don't know what's wrong with them.
Right? Like, how dare they be mad that I spilled scalding hot soup in their lap?
Yes.
What is wrong with these people? Don't they know? Oh my goodness. That is so funny.
But then just editing and typing up my own stuff. Hey, I got a notice this week though that a story I wrote in 1986 is going to be published.
Wow.
So don't give up.
Seriously. Actually,
The
that's
moral
like
is do not give up.
so I'm doing the keynote for Drexel University's College of Arts and Sciences tomorrow. And I need to sound intelligent, so but that's the core theme of it, is just you're going to go through a whole lot of shit, and no matter what it is, you just cannot give up, you know? So, all right, I just gave it away. So if you're planning on attending, you're off the hook. You can tell your family, I don't need to go anymore. The keynote,
Yeah,
she already said what she was going to say. Yeah, I'm done. I'm out. And it's going to be, honestly, thank God. So when I got on the airplane, they originally predicted thunderstorms right when I was, and in the 90s, right when I'm going to give the keynote. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. There will be 5 people there, and I don't blame them, because dear Lord, that is insane.
Is it outside?
Well, it's in the Mann Music Center, so it's not outside, but still, like, you don't want to travel in that,
Okay.
you know?
Just getting out in it, yeah.
Yeah. And now, what is it now? Let's see. Now it's completely clear and sunny, and in the low 80s. So that's not bad. Oh, 85. Still, that's a heck of a lot better than in the 90s and thunderstorms. So, anyway. Well, I mean, at least you're getting some writing done, yeah?
Somewhat done?
Writing.
Yes. Oh, yeah. That's what the mornings are for.
That's there you go. So Caroline is asking specifically you, the cool Ben, not the boring Lisa, the cool Ben. What is it that you're working on, young man?
Oh, the story that got picked up is called The Pumpkin Man.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, and it hasn't gotten much attention except from people who read it.
I know that feeling.
Yeah, and they'll want to borrow it and read it at their Halloween party, because it's a short story. It's 7 pages, double space, so it's not that long. And it is a Halloween story, of course. It's the Pumpkin Man. It's coming out with Shotgun Honey Press, and an anthology of Halloween / crime stories.
That's fun.
Or supernatural / crime stories.
Now, all right. So how did you find them?
I don't remember. They were what is it? The Duotrope? Is it Duotrope? What is it?
Oh, I know. Yeah, I think it is Duotrope. Now I'm gonna have to look it up. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So they were listed on there, I think. And they were looking for stories for a Halloween anthology, and I said, "Well, I've got this thing that's been laying around, for 38 years."
Oh my God! No! Don't ever own your true.
I just wrote it.
He just wrote it.
It's like I say, It gets a lot of compliments, and a lot of people want to borrow it and read it at their Halloween parties, and because it is kind of weird and strange and makes you think.
Shocking.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, we've got Peter.
Peter's here.
Whoa!
Hello
Shit.
again. How's everybody doing?
Man.
What are you guys laughing about?
How are Ben's attempt at not writing an alternative story and pretending that he's not as old as he is.
Yeah. Yeah. The backstory, Peter, is I just got a story that I wrote in 1986, picked up for publication in 2024.
Oh, wow.
Right? So we were like, guys, never give up. Because you just don't know. You have no idea.
But was it the magazine that you sent it to in 1986 that just got back to you now?
That's awesome.
Lost it in the mail.
Sorry, it's been 38 years, but we really want to publish your piece.
He just kept sending it out. Like, I don't care.
Slush pile. We got to 1986. Congratulations. We love it.
I could totally see that. Like, oh yeah, fuck you. I'm going to keep sending this out. Oh yeah. Here's the 5,000th rejection. I don't care. Screw you. I'm going to keep sending it out.
Exactly.
Of course, even the publishing world and the publishing opportunities have changed so much since 1986.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Back then, maybe Glimmer Train stories. I think they're still around.
They are. Yeah.
They were one of the few. They were one of the few that had nobody had an e-journal. That was ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, but this is gonna be an anthology. So
I used to love Glimmer Train. Sorry.
Yeah. Me too.
They did publish good stories, but they missed an opportunity.
Yeah. Screw them.
That's why they went out of business 5 years ago.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, they did. They
I
retired.
think they did. Yeah. Okay.
I came this close to getting my story placed there. We really love the story, but not a fit for this issue. It's like, ugh.
Dude, at least they even acknowledged you exist.
Exactly.
Like some of my favorites, like One Story, Glimmer Train.
Uh-huh.
They all just pretended like I didn't. It was like, who? What? You sent us something? Oh,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No.
There's the Sun also. It's still publishing.
We really love this story, but you should really wait 38 years.
Now, how cool would that be? Like, if someone had that kind of psychic ability, right, where they will like send you a note, you are so advanced. Send this to us again in like 30, 38 years, something like that, and let's see if we're into it. How
Your
cool
grandchildren
would that be?
will love it.
Your I usually just got the rejections of like, so wow, this is really interesting and an interesting perspective, but it's not quite right for us. And that was it. Like, it wasn't like you're writing shit or you don't know how to tell a story, or it was just like
take up masonry or something like that.
How funny would that be? So we've decided you should actually be a carpenter. Forget writing. Go become an electrician.
As soon as you learn how to drive a nail home, maybe you could just drive a story home.
Oh my, that would be hilarious. Could you imagine that? Oh my gosh. Okay. We have had entirely too much fun, and it's only 8:19. So, well, because I'm on the East Coast, or 5:19 if you're on the West Coast. So with that, guys, again, as always, feel free to go ahead and toss your questions into the comment section, and we will be more than happy to. I'll repeat them, and then we'll take our turns in responding to them. So have at it. We are obscenely open to the point where like I've actually been on panels at different conferences that people have pulled me aside because they'll put me on a panel with someone from like Penguin or Simon and Schuster, you know, and they were like, "Oh my God, you were so honest." Like it just made it so obvious that, you know, fill in the blank person wasn't really quite, you know, they were given the corporate version. And I was like, okay, I hope this is good. Hopefully I didn't just like throw anybody under the bus, but yeah. So anyway, go ahead. Again, ask us whatever you want. It is all good. The three of us tend to be, I'd say we're pretty open without being obnoxious. I don't know. All right, I got giggles. That means no.
I have my moments.
We keep moving the line.
We keep moving the line. That's awesome. So obnoxious originally was here, and now suddenly.
So I got a question for you, Lisa. I saw that you're about to speak to the keynote speaker at Drexel. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. At Drexel, yeah. Yep.
Drexel. Do you use the same talk with everywhere that you speak, or do you modify it for each panel?
I ask them if there's anything they want me to highlight, and then that becomes like the center of whatever that talk is. And then I write the speech from there.
Oh, neat.
Mm-hmm. I mean, otherwise it would be kind of boring, I guess.
Set up a monitor and just click play.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And I mean, now there are some things I don't talk about in my life. I mean, I get really pretty like to the point where like I shared the speech with my husband and he was like, "Are you sure you want to share all this? Cuz you're getting really personal." But it's stuff that, I mean, honestly, if you Googled me, you could find it out, right? So, and there are some things that I just don't talk about. So, it depends on what the theme is, what they want me to provide. Because usually, if you're asked to speak somewhere, and it doesn't matter if it's on a panel or as a keynote or, you know, whatever, they asked you specifically for a reason. So you want to make sure that you're fulfilling whatever that reason is and you're providing whatever that benefit is that they anticipate
right.
within that speech, right? So I typically go in and ask, you know, what is it you would like me to bring forward? And I mean, honestly, if it's something that I'm not willing to share, I'll tell them, yeah, tough shit. That's not going to happen. How about this instead? You know, it's very rare though that I encounter that. But mostly it's because the things that I'm not willing to share, I don't talk about them, so people don't ask me. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So,
cool.
Yeah.
Just curious.
Caroline, I think she's asking, Halloween. Anyone going to Salem? Or like, oh, I see, Salem, Massachusetts. At that time, or have you ever been to Salem? I've never been to Salem. How about you guys?
I think I rode through there on one of my motorcycle trips.
Oh, nice.
Would have been by myself, so I probably didn't stop, but I may have ridden through there.
Okay. All right. So again, Ben is giggling. I mean, Ben is giggling, which probably means he has not.
But he wrote about it in the story.
He wrote about it in a story.
Where it takes place.
With the pumpkin man or pumpkin, whatever the hell it was.
Yeah, the pumpkin man is it takes place in Salem.
There you go. I mean, I'm originally from Camden, New Jersey, and I've lived at various points in Pennsylvania and in New Jersey. So let's just say I've lived in some areas that were most likely inspirational or could have been inspirational for Salem. So, and I may have actually driven through Salem when I moved to Los Angeles, but I don't know. Who knows? Actually, it's so funny. Caroline's like huge at Halloween. So Halloween is actually huge in our house to the point where we actually bought a skeleton, and we just leave the skeleton on our front porch, and we give him his own bag of goodies. So when kids come through trick-or-treating, they have to take it from the skeleton. So, which, I mean, we love. I don't know that the kids or their parents do, but
You gotta set up electronic diversion so that you pick something up out of the bowl and his bony hand just reaches out for you.
I know, right? How cool would that be? That would be awesome. Let's see. So, Peter, what have you been up to, young man?
Not a lot. Not enough, apparently. I mean, major home projects are finished, thank God. Other than that, just relaxing, writing, editing.
Yeah.
As much as I can, yeah. Very, very boring and low key.
I don't know. That sounds kind of awesome to me. Absolutely. Thankfully, this time in my travels, it only took me 24 hours to get over jet lag versus the last time it took me about 4 days.
Oh.
I have no idea why, but oh my gosh, it kicked my butt. I was like, woo! So anyway, but this time I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel normal. This is great. How did that happen? Cool. Is there anything that you guys have read recently that you were like, my God, this is amazing? And it doesn't have to be a Running Wild or Rise thing.
Reading a novel called The Second Sleep by somebody Harris. And you read it, and it says it starts off with in the year 1468 of the year after our risen Lord. So you think, Middle Ages, but it goes
Robert
on to
Harris.
the year of the risen Lord is when the apocalypse happened, and so it's 1400 years after that. And so it's still got a middle age feel to it from the Middle Ages or 1400s, 15th century, but it hides it really well because you're reading about plastic, and you're saying, wait a minute, these artifacts are under plastic. Yeah. And I looked it up and said, plastic wasn't invented until 1907. What's this guy trying to do? But it was Robert Harris. Yeah. And so he hides it, and it comes out in pieces of what people talk about or references to the apocalypse and the second coming, but now it's 1400 years later. And even a very nice reference to the hubris of the ancients who used an apple with a bite taken out of it as their symbol.
Okay.
And, check your phone. Check your phone and see what that is.
I don't need to do that. Thank you so much, though.
Yeah, so it's really nicely done, and it's just those hints. It doesn't come out and tell you that. You just have to. It counts on your knowledge to know that this is not the 1400s. This is 1400s from now. After the apocalypse.
Got it.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's assuming the apocalypse is like tomorrow.
Yeah. And then this priest, he's a priest in 1468 after the year of our risen Lord. So the Lord came back, the second coming, and the calendar started over.
Oh, because someone had enough sense to do that?
There's enough religion hanging on to where it started over.
Okay.
With new energy.
That's not Well, I'm glad it's an enjoyable piece. So
yeah, once
I'm
you got
eager.
off of at first it was a jolt because you wanted to put it down because maybe it's the editing in us that we look at it and say no, not in 1468 didn't have plastic. Why are you telling me about plastic? But he's doing it for a purpose,
Intentionally,
and you got to keep
yeah.
reading.
Yeah.
Because I almost put it down and said no. This is so stupid.
How dare he?
Yeah. You can't fool me.
Yeah, god damn it.
What did his editor let fly? Jeez.
Oh
yeah,
my.
who edited this?
Yeah, clearly it was not Ben.
No, I would have rewritten that.
Hell yeah, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm actually just started a book called The Narrow Window by Gary Wilson.
Okay.
It's got a really explosive beginning, then it kind of slows down, pulls you into the plot. I haven't gotten very far into it, but it's going to be a great read. I want to tell everybody about it when I finish reading it. So,
oh, cool.
No plastics from the 1400s, so we're good there.
I'm actually reading The Z Word, which is about I'm sorry. It's about a zombie outbreak in this tiny little town in Arizona during the Gay Pride weekend. And it's actually incredibly well written. Like, it's more of a literary novel, believe it or not. Like, it's a combination of literary, romance, and horror zombie apocalypse. So if you can wrap your head around that, it's like, okay. And I'm like 2/3 of the way through. And like I said, I'm really happy with how well it's written. It's through Quirk Books. So other than that, I'm just editing our stuff, which is what I do. We have 3 more books that need editors to be assigned to them. So before we start looking at new titles, so I'm a little more than halfway through Questions for Werewolves, which is actually a memoir. What's like creative nonfiction.
Yeah.
And then I actually need to start working on providing guidance to I have a new mentee through the Horror Writers Association on his piece. So, sorry, I'm like, oh my gosh, we have all these comments. So actually, I want to ask both of you, what made you, 1, decide to be an editor, and 2, realize that you could be an editor? Because I think every author on the planet, being an editor is like incredibly intimidating. Or not, because you're both looking at me like I'm on crack. So it's all good. So what made
Ben's intimidating just as he is. I mean, the editor layer upon that just makes it that much more.
Yeah, totally.
Did you ask something? I was just looking at you like normal.
That's awesome. What made you realize that you wanted to be an editor, and that and what made you like try it out?
Well, I think for me, it goes back to having gone through a lot of written material, not necessarily creative written material, but policies and manuals and citations and award applications, and to know that. Okay, I do have a working knowledge of the English language most of the time. The rest of the time, I've got Google. The rest of the time, and but and so when you offered when you gave the opportunity, it was yeah. I don't have the skill set honed and polished, but let me see if I can polish it to the point where it's valuable. And then and of course that first couple of novels or stories that I worked on, I was very open. Well, I'm open-minded anyway, but the conversations that I was having with the authors was very rewarding. And the points that were being raised and discussed were points that helped grow and develop. Okay, this is the process I need to polish. And then you told me I couldn't stop. I was like a contract of blood.
Holy shit, you listen to me? Who does that? Oh my God, it's a miracle. I'm sorry, keep talking.
It went from there. And of course, the relationship with the authors is a bonus.
How about you, Peter?
I mean, this is gonna sound weird, but
I'm sorry.
Not a big deal. Not a big thing.
Not here, yeah.
What I
but
said?
I hear the words on the page. I see the flow in a way that I can't explain, and I guess I kind of pick up on things that are missing from the plot or from the story thematically or physically or tangentially, because I mean, I do line editing, like every other editor does, but I find that the comments that I put at the bottom of the story, my thoughts on the words and sentences and the storylines and the characters, I mean, make just a bigger impact on the story once I give the feedback back to the author. I mean, the good part about that is it gives the author a rounded, better impression of better packaged, for lack of a better word, of my impressions of his or her writing. The bad news is it does tend to take a little while longer because I'm going through the story and feeling these things and understanding and seeing these things that make me, sometimes question myself. But when I put my comments at the bottom of the story, and I've said this before, and I give them to the author, and they come back to me with almost like a symphony. And that word fits because the words that I get back, they flow so much better. The images are that much clearer. The characters are that much more lively or downplayed depending on their role in the story. And it's like when I read words that have been fixed or edited and polished, it's like hearing music as the story goes through, because my mind doesn't trip over the stuff that I mentioned or pointed out in the earlier version. So it's kind of like it's more of an ethereal experience, than a logical experience. Although it's partly that as well. I mean, does that make sense to anybody?
No, it totally does.
Yeah,
it completely
absolutely.
makes sense. Yeah.
I mean, I think I knew how to edit before I knew how to write. If that makes
I could
sense.
see that. No. I could totally see that, because there's a rhythm to like excellent writing. There's a rhythm, there's a symphony, there's something where it transcends the current environment, where 1 minute it's 2 p.m. and you're reading something that's kind of interesting, and then the next thing you know, it's 2 a.m. and you're like, oh my God. Like, how did I get here? And like, that was amazing. And then there's something about it that it emotionally and psychologically stays with you, so that like it kind of infuses into your own dreams. And so it in many ways it kind of becomes a part of you. So yeah, I don't know if that made any sense, but Haha, tough shit.
So now we know that at the core,
We're all
Peter is a
crazy.
poet. Peter is a poet.
That Peter's a poet.
And now we know. But as you were talking, Peter, it was the work I did on Obsidian Waste, which the dystopian novel, and that book wanted that approach. It wanted your approach. It wanted you to hear it and hear the flow of the language and the music of the words. But what got in the way was the structure of the paragraphs. And so that's when I went back to the author and said, let's cut this up and put some things right justified, and just short lines, chop those lines up, because they still read like that poetic sound that he was going for and wanted, but it was just stumbling over itself. So I think that's some of what you hear is the stumbling and that you're fixing. That's good.
You could tell when an author is really in the moment and the writing just flows from them. The stories and the story and the words flow from them. And then when they start trying, that's when it starts to get clunky. They start to push things into place that don't fit. And when it's like that with acting, it's like that with singing. And when you're just doing it from your heart, it just flows that much better than when you're trying to do something. It's really amazing. Well,
and I think you can sense when someone, like, they've been working on something for a long time, and there's a section they wrote because their friend said, you need to have blah, blah, blah. Like, there's something in your psyche that says, this voice has changed, and they put this in here because someone said you need to have it. But they don't necessarily believe it, right? To Peter's point, like, they know that this doesn't actually fit the story, but they're doing this because, they've never had a book published before. Maybe it's their second book, I don't know. And they're just being told, you must have this. So they're like, okay. And they go ahead and they write it. And then they finally get an editor who, hopefully, fingers crossed, isn't full of shit and can say, I don't know that you need this. I mean, I understand what you're trying to accomplish, but I think you could do it better these other ways. And a lot of times it's finding an editor who, understands, there isn't one way to do things.
Nope.
There are dozens of ways to do things. You just need to love reading and love writing and love storytelling, so that you can say, hey, I think I get what we're trying to do here. I'm not sure it works. Did you ever think about doing blah, blah, blah? And to Peter's point, when you put that out there, that's when the writer comes back with stuff that you're like, oh my God, this is brilliant. Right? Like, this is like game-changing work. Like, this is the stuff that I would stay up until 4 a.m. to read. And by the way, I get up at 4:15, so that's a big deal, guys. So, I mean, and that's when you say, yes, this is the work that I live for. This is the groundbreaking. This is the stuff that, like, when I was a teenager, I would go out of my way to go to the local bookstore and buy as many paperback copies as I could, because I was poor and I couldn't get hardback. But anyway, so, or, you go to the library, check out as many as you can, and you just, like, devour as much as you can. Like, this is what it's about. And being able to be a part of that, even if all you asked was a simple question like, who said this? That provokes the author to go, oh my God, who said this? Oh shit. All right, hold on. I need to go do a revision. Or like, why is this important? Or whatever that question is. And then they come back and go, oh my God. Okay, wait. I'll get back to you. Hold on. Because they didn't quite think it through. They just responded based on, feedback that someone gave them, or it was really truly a first draft or whatever, right? And then someone asking them those questions that make them think through like what they did. That's when you get the stuff that it's like, oh, wow, this is amazing. So
one thing I've noticed is that I'm not going to say often or frequently or whatever, but I tend to come across books except books that are memoir in disguise.
Oh, yeah.
Memoir.
Yeah.
And I've had authors say, why is this a bed in one scene and a futon in another scene? And it's the same furniture. And they'd be like, well, that's what it was. Like, okay, this is not fiction. This is autobiography. That's fine. But in certain times when to go one step further than the analogy that I put forth before was the trying versus writing from the heart, is when the subconscious pokes its way through into the story and adds things that the author doesn't even realize need to be in the story because they do resonate throughout the story. And they haven't realized it yet. They haven't picked up on it. Just the author put this scene on a highway just out of nowhere, does not belong in the story at all because it doesn't appear to affect anything else. But it's the actual story's theme is this one moment on the highway that you draw that out and be more of a part of the whole story. You recognize that as a theme from the very beginning and have it be a through line through the whole book. That's when the subconscious is going, look, this has to be here. You don't know why now, but put it in here now as much as you can. You're going to find out what it means when you're done with the book. And those two are truly, truly amazing. Again, I hope that made sense.
Yeah.
Oh, it totally. I don't know, Ben. What do you think? I thought it.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, and I think there are times when those things that can be there and have that purpose can also be cut.
True.
And say from someplace else and said, if you're not going to do the work to make it have value that you want it to have, let's cut it because it's in the way. It's in the way as is. It's in the way.
It's a roadblock. Yeah.
It's funny. I've had a few. Sorry, go ahead, Ben.
Well, it was just a couple of scenes that I've seen in novels. They're like that moment where I'm describing the city, and now we're going to go into the store, and I'm going to introduce you to two characters at the counter, and then we're going to leave. And who cares about the two characters at the counter? It was just a city scene that they thought they had to describe, and usually it shows up because there's no other city scenes you're describing. Every time they go to the city, they just go to where they're going and they do what they're going to do, and then they leave and it's over. But this time they go to the city, they visit the two guys at the counter, they leave, and then they go do what they're going to do, and they go back. And the poor guys at the counter say, "Where's our story? We want a story."
Right. Yeah.
And if you're not going to give it to them, you got to cut it.
Well, in reality, those guys at the counter were actually a representation of different aspects of that city or that culture or that environment.
Yeah. And if that's the case, work it in there. Work, like Peter's saying, make it work.
Or take them out. Either way, right? Like, it's to your point, it's the subconscious infusing itself and saying, hey, these things are important. And you may actually end up doing it in other capacities later on. But right now, we're at a diner. This guy's having pancakes. This guy's getting his burrito on. So yeah. And a lot of times the author just can't answer it. They just like, I just know it needs to be here. So.
Yeah. I did a lecture one time on images. I think I've spoken about this before, but the whole kill your darlings aspect of writing. If it doesn't fit the story, you got to kill your darlings. Well, I came up with the idea of, instead of killing them, you have an image heaven, which means you take the images, take the storyline or the image or whatever like that that doesn't fit, move it to a different document so you can include it in a different story. Because if you really like it, you really put that much effort into it, just keep the image, save it for another story, just have a file of just these images and use that in different works going forward.
Well, honestly, it's interesting. Like the first, so Cure, which wasn't the first book I wrote, but the first, I guess, werewolf or lycanthrope book I wrote. So Ben was my editor, and then I passed it by Peter because I love and respect both of these gentlemen. And Peter came back and he was like, please don't hate me, but there are all these sections that I think you need to flesh out. And when I saw it through the lens of Peter's feedback, I went, oh my God, he's right. I mean, not like he would be wrong, but you know. And I went on an editing frenzy, right? I mean, seriously, like I fleshed out all these sections that were mostly dialogue and action, but it really didn't give you necessarily the contextualization of the environment. And like I think I added like 30,000 words or something like that, something crazy, right? That for some people would be a whole book, right? And then I sent it to Ben and I was like, does this suck? And he went, oh, thank God you did this. So I share all this because you don't know, like I know that we talk a lot of times about those who it's like, you know, kill your darlings, you've added too much stuff. But you can equally do the same error by really just focusing purely on action and dialogue, which is very common among those who are more familiar with like screenplay writing or short story writing, where you've still got a narrative arc, but you're not focused on like everything that's going on within that environment, if that makes sense.
My take on it is the author is seeing the environment in their head. And they're just so busy trying to get the plot forward or working to get the plot forward as dialogue, action. And they're like, well, you can see what I see, so I don't need to put that there. I'm like, oh, you can.
They're like, no, I can't.
Detail in there. Well, it's just a living room, and all of a sudden there's 15 doors in this house on the first floor. I'm like, okay, what does that mean? Why are there 15 doors in this house? And one response is, because that's the way it was. But no, another response is, make use of them. Make a recurring image out of this. What does it mean? People are going through something. They're passing from one room to another, from one reality to another reality. So the subconscious is kicking its way to the surface again. So you can tell I get about these kind of things. So
yeah,
that's why they lock me in the room and I edit. So
so this is why, again, I continue to advocate that both Peter and Ben are absolutely brilliant. And if you ever have a chance to work with either one of them, you need to take it because they are truly fabulous editors. So I'm just putting that out there. All right, guys, we only have 7 minutes left and you need to get your questions in. Otherwise, you're going to lose your shot, at least at a live interaction, because I think we're actually more interesting live than if we respond to a recording. But I'm just saying.
I know for one, I am much more lifelike in person.
I don't know. If you put me in an AI, I might be actually more entertaining, but I don't know.
Yeah. But it's even in poetry, I can feel the energy slipping, and usually when you hit that point where what you're trying to say is it's running down parallel tracks, and you're on both tracks, and you're connecting both tracks, and you hope the third rail doesn't get you, but it's. So many times it's because it's two different points, and they combat each other for the space on the page, And when you see one lose energy, but you like the where the other one picked up, but they just don't pick up together to form one poem or one idea or one short story or whatever, it's because they're not one, they're two. And it's a different voice, it's a different track, it's that parallel track telling you when the wheels run over me, it sounds different than when the wheels run over you, and that's okay. Go ahead and split them up into two. And
that's a nice image.
Yeah.
I almost more so have like, I write down all the logical aspects of a piece, and that's my outline. And then when I write it, that's when the more emotive portion interjects itself. And it becomes and it's so funny because I have some friends who are like, you write literary, and I'm like, no, I don't. I'm writing about fucking werewolves, guys. Like, how is that literary, right? But like, really, literary just means it's character driven. And like, even though I write, so I start with an outline that is very logical, right? Where it's almost like it's like my journalist brain interjects itself and says, no, this is the outline. Like, this is, logically speaking, this is how things should occur, right? But then when you start writing, that's when it's like, well, this character, Javier, just interjected himself and said, well, screw you. I wouldn't agree to that. I want to do X, Y, Z. And it's like, oh, okay. I guess that's what we're doing, right? And then you adjust your outline based on the feedback that your characters are providing. And then later on, your editor may come back and say, why the hell did you do that? Although thankfully I haven't had that happen yet, but it could. But yeah, like I don't know. I'm probably just psychotic, but it's like there are different parts of your brain that you can almost feel get engaged depending on what you're working on. And like, what's the most prominent aspect of whatever it is that you're working on. So when I hear the ambulance come and get me, I'll know and understand why. But anyway, I don't know if anyone else experiences that when
Don't
they're.
you think that's rewarding to have the environment that you're writing in speak to you that way, to where the subconscious hears the ambulance, maybe not coming from you, but it's outside, the lighting, the radio, the sounds, what's going on around you will impact your writing. Maybe not consciously, but subconsciously, it's you're reaching that point where this is so comfortable because of these environmental elements around me. I'm going to write something different or better or more of that flow, to get up on that plane and write at a higher level.
Oh yeah.
Because everything's coming together.
Absolutely.
And, yeah.
Well, I mean, like, even so when I dream or even when I have nightmares, there is there's a more conscious aspect of my psyche that interjects itself and says, oh, that's this that you saw yesterday at 4:00, and that is this that. Okay, so that's your brain trying to process all this, or like, this isn't real. This is actually your subconscious saying, dude, what Joe and Joe did was absolutely crap, and we don't accept this, and neither do you, which is why this is now a nightmare, right? And then you like force yourself out of the nightmare and get back to like whatever normal is, right? And then you can move forward. It's funny that the first time I described that, like, when you have a nightmare and you realize like, oh, this is all based on truth, and it's my body trying to process it. The person looked at me like, holy shit, that's what this is. And I was like, oh, okay, so I'm just crazy. It's fine. But yeah. Anyway. I think it's valuable.
That's all that matters.
That's all that matters as we hear the sirens coming. Okay, well, with that, as always,
Lisa, put the pen down. Just
all
put
right,
it down.
I'll put the pin down. With that, I want to thank both Peter and Ben. You guys, as always, are absolutely fantastic. Caroline, oh my gosh. I mean, all of our regulars, Caroline, Cindy, Margaret, you guys, as always, are absolutely wonderful. Anyone who's joined us, thank you, thank you, thank you. We love and we adore you. If you come up with a question, go ahead, put it in the comments section, and we will respond next week. So with that, thank you guys, and looking forward to talking to you then. Okay? Cool.